Good morning to everyone. Am I audible?
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good ma'am.
Yes, good morning to all. In today's turn, we are going to start with the fundamentals of web. In the previous lectures, we have seen the introduction of web GIS. It was about the web GIS evolution, about its definition, its basic functions, main advantages, applications. Now we are coming to the fundamental of web, because when we talk about the web GIS, it basically works on the web. That's why there is a need to understand what is web, how this web works, what are the major technologies that are used over here. Coming to the web part, in our day-to-day life, everyone uses the web. Whenever you open your web browser, you are basically accessing the web. When you are again opening your mobile and using some app, something like that, you probably using somewhere web. In our day-to-day life, the web has a prominent role over there. And when we say about web, or when we say about internet, basically, what we used to think that there will be some content over there, whatever we request, whether it is some text, whether it is some image, whether it is some audio, whether it is some video, whatever is there, everything is present on the web. We request that thing and accesses that one. Now the question arises, basically how the web works. If you see the web, there are two basic components. This is present in this figure 1. So there will be two main basic components over here. First one is the client, second one is the web server. In general, web browser is the client. Client can be anything. It is not necessarily that it will be a web browser. It can be some desktop application. It can be some virtual globe. Anything can be a client. But for the simplicity purpose and for in general purpose, you can see that client is nothing but the web browser. The second component of this architecture is server. Server means somebody who serves over here. Okay. So the second component is web server. If you think about some analogy in the real world, like suppose if you want to purchase something, like I want to purchase a milk. Okay. So what I will do, I will go to a shop. I will ask from the shopkeeper about, do you have 1 liter packet of milk? I will give him money and he or she will give back to me a packet of milk. In this case, I am requesting some service, I am requesting some product. In that case, I am the customer. In web world, I will be the client. The shopkeeper who is giving me the milk or whatever I am requesting, that shopkeeper is serving me. That person in the web world will be the web server. Okay, so there will be two basic entities over here. First one is the web client, which is web browser in most of the cases. Second entity is web server. All of you are very well aware about the web browser because you are using it daily. But you are not aware about the web server because you are not playing that role. The web server is separate. You are not considering about the web server. It is like a black box for you. You will go to the Google, you will write google.com, some page will appear. You will enter some keywords over there, some pages will be listed over there. You will click on that one, the output or the content of it will be displayed on your screen. So you are basically making request every time like a client, but you are very unaware about the person or the machine basically that is responding to you. So that's why it is easy to visualize for the client but difficult to think about a server. Now coming to the web server and web client part, web client, which is the correct term is HTTP client basically, knows how to make a request to the server. That request is given in the form of HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTP request form. The request goes to the server. The web server, also known as the HTTP server, knows how to read that request. What is asked in that request, whether it is some web page, whether there is some script that need to get executed. Based upon that one, the web server either fetches a web page or executes the script and then send back the response to the client, HTTP response to the client. The client also know how to understand that HTTP response. Now, why I'm saying this term repeatedly, HTTP request, HTTP response, like suppose I'm speaking in one language, another person is speaking in another language. There cannot be any communication between two people. There is certain set of rules, there is certain set of regulation according to which the communication can take place. It cannot done in a haphazard random manner. You know, like suppose, you want to withdraw some money from the bank. Okay. So I think so everyone will be able to fill the check, go to the bank, take the money by themselves, isn't it? So if you want to withdraw some cash, you do not have the ATM card, suppose with you want to withdraw the cash by using the check. In that case, everybody know what is the procedure, isn't it? You are well aware how to fill that check. Okay. If you want to make it, like suppose if you are giving it to some other person, you know that you will make two horizontal line at the corner so that it will be the account pay or not. So you will place two parallel line over there. If you want to withdraw the check, cash from that check directly on the counter, you will not place those two parallel line at the corner. So this is a very well defined way how to fill a check, how to put up lines over there or not, what content to put over there. The bank or the cashier or whoever you are communicating with very well know how to read that check, whatever is filled over there, how to proceed with it, how to give the cash to the customer. So there is a very well defined rules over there wherever you go. Okay, I'm just giving the example of a bank that you are very well aware about the whole procedure, whether it is you or any other client, any other customer, or any bank employee. Everybody know how to work over there. The bank can be different. You can go to SBI, you can go to PNB, you can go to the Bank of Baroda, you can go some private bank like suppose HDFC, ICICI, anywhere you can go. But the procedure is more or less same. Okay. If there is no such procedure, well-defined manner, no, if it is different for everywhere else, then nobody know how to proceed with that one. That's why there is a need of certain set of rules. There is a need of certain set of regulation, which is known as protocols over here. Okay. So, nowadays there is a lot of discussion on the news that there is a breach in security of PM. The protocol is not properly followed over there. So, what was protocol over there? That whenever a PM comes, there are certain dignitaries who will receive the Prime Minister and other things. So, there is a well-defined rule over there again. That's why they say there is a protocol over there. The protocol has not been followed, isn't it? So, here also when we talk about a web, there is a certain protocol over here. Without the protocol, it will not be possible for anyone to come on the internet and request the thing. You do not need to do anything. You just need a web browser to ask any of the web page or execute any of the script on the server. Even if I do not know how to do the things, I have some basic idea that I need to open this particular website, enter these particular words over there, the thing will work over there. So So any of the computer will work over there. Why? Because there is an HTTP client. There is a web browser over there who know how to work on the web, how to send a request. There is a well-defined manner in which a request is sent to the server. Since it is coming in a well-defined manner, there is an HTTP standard over there for the request. So the server knows how to read the incoming request. According to the requested thing, the processing will be done. And again, the response comes in the HTTP response. Okay, HTTP response is again a very well defined method. When the response comes in the HTTP form, the client knows how to read that one. The client knows how to render the output on the screen. So this is about the principle of web. Okay, so I am reading it out. A basic web application is essentially a client-server architecture. So this architecture is whatever I am discussing. It is basically a client-server architecture in which the client is specifically called a web client and the server is called a web server. Basic web application usually have three-tier architecture consisting of data tier, logical tier, presentation tier. I will discuss it later on. Right now, there are two tier only. The web client is usually a web browser, therefore, the basic web architecture, also referred as the browser server architecture. The basic workflow is HTTP client makes a connection to a web server and sends a request method to the HTTP server. For this, a web client, usually a browser, initiates a request to the web server by typing URL in the address bar or clicking a URL link on the web page. The web server receives the request, parses the URL, locates the corresponding document or script, returns the document or else execute the script, returns the result to the script to the client as a response. The response is commonly in HTML format. In the meantime, client waits for the server's response. The server responds with the status code in the response header and data to the client and closes the connection. The web client receives the response, renders it, and presents it to the user. In this whole theory part, there are few terms. One term is this. Okay, parses the URL. What is the meaning of this term? Whenever the request is made, okay, the HTTP request that we were discussing earlier, when a client makes the HTTP request, this request is made how? Usually in the form of URL, isn't it? When you want to open any of the web page, like if you want to check your email, you will write gmail.com or whatever you are using. So this is what you are basically writing a URL over there. So URL is the address of any of the web page. We will just discuss about the details of URL later. Then when the server receives the request, it parses the URL. Parses means it breaks the URL. This is a common term which is used several times in computer science, like in automata theory and other places, we use this term parsing. Here the parsing means parses the URL means breaking down the URL into the components. Based upon that one, the response or the action will be taken by the server. So parsing means breaking down the URL. Another term is renders it. Okay. Renders means this is again a term used in this when we talk about the web architecture and other things. When the response is received by the client from the server, it show that output on the screen, isn't it? You will see the home page of any such website on the screen. So this what the correct term that the client is showing the output, the correct term is the client renders the output. Okay, the client renders the response received from the server. So the correct term is render over here. So these two are the new terms over here. Before going into the detail, there are three terms that you need to search. Write it down in your copy. First term is HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Second term is cache control, CACHE, okay, cache control. Third term is MIME, MIME. These are the three terms: HTTP, cache control, MIME. I'm giving you 5 minutes. Quickly search about these terms because we are just going to learn about them. Must have searched about these terms. So what is the meaning of this cache control?
Ma'am, it is basically it makes rules for the browsers whether one has to import the resources from the original web source or already stored information, which is called the cache memory.
Okay, yes, that's correct. Anyone else about the cache control?
Ma'am, it is an HTTP header used to specify the browser caching policy in both client request and server responses.
Coming to the second, MIME. What is the full form of MIME? M-I-M-E. Okay, wait a minute. Yes, Jayashree. Jayashree, are you there?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes, what is the full form of MIME?
Multi-purpose internet mail extensions.
Okay, so what is the use of this one?
Ma'am, this MIME is an internet standard that extends the format of email messages to support text in character sets other than ASCII, as well as attachments of audio, video, images, and application programs.
Yes, okay. Yashovardhan, do you want to add something in this?
No, I'm same answer.
Okay. Anyone else want to add something in mind?
मैम माइन के फुल फॉर्म मैम डिफरेंट शो हो रहा है मैम जब नेट पे सर्च कर रहे हैं तो
Okay, then let me search.
मैनेजमेंट इन द नेटवर्क इकोनॉमी
You are searching something different. It is, I have also searched for MIME. So MIME stands for Multimedia Internet Mail Extension. The MIME can be used in some other field. It can be something else in other field. But the MIME in which we are interested in is multipurpose Internet Mail Extension. So let's see. Yeah, there was one more thing, HTTP. What is HTTP? Anyone?
Ma'am, it is an application layer protocol in the internet protocol suite model for like a distributed collaborative and hypermedia information system.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'm used for secure communication over a computer network.
It is HTTPS. So yes, it's correct what you are saying, but it is for HTTPS, Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. Okay. Anything else? Let's see it.
Ma'am,
Basic
in MIME one, ma'am, in MIME one, we can, in simple terms, we can say that it generates a kind of protocol which allows the non-ASCII data to be sent through the SMTP, that is a simple mail transfer protocol.
Yes, it's correct. So one by one we will. Yes, please.
Ma'am, in mine, it's a way of identifying files on internet according to their nature and format.
According to their nature and format. Yes, it's correct. It's basically type and subtype. It's correct. Okay. Now, we will see these terms one by one. First one is about the HTTP. Okay. So why this term was given to you? Because as we were discussing that it is the HTTP protocol according to which the web client and the web server works. Okay. Because of the HTTP, the web browser knows or the web client knows how to make a request, what to put in the header, what to put in the content section, as well as the server knows how to read the incoming request, how to send the response, what to place in the header, what to place inside the body. So HTTP basically defines a set of rules over there, which is used for the client as well as for the server. There are different ways in which the request can be made. There are 8 different methods. Okay, get, post, head, put, delete, trace, option, and connect. These are the 8 different methods through which the HTTP request can be made. But among all these 8 methods, the 2 most commonly used are get method and the post method. We will come to it later. But this is the different ways through which, different methods through which the request can be made from the client to the server. Coming to the next one, which is cache control. Cache control basically means, like, I will first show you the example. Like if you go to the settings, okay, in your own browser, if you go to the setting and if you search for the cache like this one over here, okay, so inside the cache, you will find cache images and files free up less than 320 MB. Some sites may load more slowly on your next visit. Cache in the web browser, when you install any of the web browser, you may remember that while the installation procedure, they used to assign certain cache memory to the web browser. It basically means that when the response received from the server is stored inside that cache memory, that cache of the browser, means on the client system, on the user's own machine. When something is stored on the cache, the client do not need to go completely to the all the way to the server, make the request, receives the response, and come back to the client. Okay. In order to reduce this time, in order to avoid this whole process, many times some of the content is stored on the client machine. Okay. This is dealt by the cache control. Whether the client has the authority to store this page or not, whether to store any of the image or not, it is according to the cache control header, which comes with the response header. Whenever the server gives a response, there will be a cache control over there. According to that one, the things will be saved on the intermediate computers or not. Okay, so this is what the cache control is. The servers are expected to give clients information about how long the client can cache their content and consider it fresh. The servers can provide this information using cache control header. The cache control header can be used to specify the maximum age for a document in seconds, the total amount of time since the document left the server. Age is not dependent on clock synchronization and therefore likely to yield more accurate result. The cache control can be public or private. If there is public, the response can be cached by any intermediate cache. Private, like suppose there is some sensitive sites, like suppose if you are doing some internet banking, so there is any online transaction or there is some login credentials were there, so these are the sensitive information and they will never be cached on intermediate machines. So such type of web pages will not be cached. So it can be either private or they are not, no cache will be there. So private means response may be cached such that it can be accessed only by a single client. Max age, it will specify the maximum length of time the document can be cached and still considered fresh. No, for example, suppose there is some Google News. So there will be certain time up to which that news will be considered to be fresh. Suppose 5 minutes, 3 minutes, something like that. After that, it will automatically get refreshed. So how this happens? According to the max age value, which is given in the response header. So I hope cache control is clear to everyone. Cache control is basically gives the directives upon whether any of, because when a server sends the response to the client, it doesn't reach directly to the client. There will be several intermediate machines through which the response travel and finally reaches to the client's computer. When the response go to the intermediate computers, intermediate machines, whether they can store that message, whether they can store that response or not, it is according to the public-private directive. If it is public, yes, the intermediate nodes, the intermediate machines can store that information. If the directive is cache control is private, in that case, none of the intermediate machine can store the response, only the final client can store that one. Even if the directive is no cache, it is not given over here, but if no cache is mentioned over here, then not even the client machine can store that page. Then message, like if somebody is storing some web page, some content that need to be refreshed, it will be fresh up to a certain time being only. So it is according to the message. Whatever message is mentioned over there, only up to that time that web page will be considered as fresh. Okay. Coming to the next part, the third thing is content type. Again, whenever the response comes back to the when the response is made by the web server, it is according to the MIME format. Okay, so a web server attaches a MIME type to all the HTTP object data. When a web browser gets an object back from a server, it looks at the associated MIME type to see if it knows how to handle the object. Most browsers can handle hundreds of object types, display images, displaying image files, parsing and formatting HTML files, playing audio files through the computer speakers, or launching external plugins in external plugin software to handle special formats. Basically, it is MIME type, and whenever any of the response is received, the MIME multipurpose internet mail extension type will give the information what type of file is associated. Okay, the examples are given over there. First, there will be a generic type, general type, and slash followed by the specific file type. Okay, like suppose if there is any HTML document, the generic type is, it will be a text file, oblique, its extension will be the HTML, isn't it? So again, if there is ASCII, American Standard Code for Information Interchange, if there is a ASCII text document, like Notepad is the example of ASCII text document, if you write anything over there. So again, the generic type is text, oblique, plain. If you are sending any image, okay, whether it is JPEG, PNG, GIF, whatever image type it is, the first thing will be image, oblique, it can be JPEG, whatever it is. Next example is like suppose if you are sending any video, okay, Apple QuickTime movie is there, so it is video oblique QuickTime. Microsoft PowerPoint presentation, then it will be the application oblique VND. VND means vendor specific file format. So it is vnd.ms PowerPoint. This is how the MIME type is mentioned over there. First, there will be generic type, oblique, specific type. So this is all about the MIME type. Another important component is status code. Have you ever seen status code 404? I will show you one. Like suppose I'm writing down localhost colon 8080. Wait for a minute, it will work. It is not showing that error. So there can be, later on you will face this error. There can be different types of error codes, like 404 is commonly seen by us, which is not found error. Okay. 200 means there are different series of codes. 200 series means it's okay, the output is working. It means it is successful. Okay. 300 series means it will be redirected. 400 series, there is a problem in any request. Okay. Like it is forbidden or something like that. 500 series means there is some server side error. Okay, 400 series number means there is request error in the request, 500 series number means there is a problem in the server. So there will be a status code also that is associated with the HTTP request response. So I hope it is clear to everyone about the different things that we have learned over there, that what you will find in the HTTP response header. The response will contain cache control information. It will have the content type information, and it will have the status code information. So this is all about the HTTP response. Okay. What about the request? There are different methods, 8 different methods through which the request can be made. These methods are listed over here. Okay. Now, next thing is,
Ma'am, what was the 300 series?
300 series means redirection. You will get redirected. Okay, 300, for example, 302 redirect, go some other place to get the resource.
And ma'am, what we can say for 200, like it is running good.
Yeah, it's working perfectly. There's no problem in the response. Okay, the next task is search about this HTTP get and post method. Okay, I'm giving you, I think so, 3 minutes time sufficient. Search about HTTP get and post method. Okay then. So what is get and post method? Yes, Sunil.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, get
What is-
is used to record data from a specific resource.
Okay. And post?
Post is used to send data to server to create a resource.
I'm not sure about your answer, Sunil. Okay, check it again. Okay. Yes. Shivam?
Ma'am, get HTTP get and the post means ma'am HTTP get means to collect the data from the specific sources and post to send the data to the specific server.
Okay. Praveen?
Yes, ma'am.
Get and post method?
पोस्ट में होता है मैम मेथड टू डिजाइन टू द सेंड डेटा टू द सर्वर फ्रॉम द HTTP क्लाइंट एंड मैम गेट होता है गेट कैरीज रिक्वेस्ट टू पैरामीटर appended in URL starting while post carries request to parameter in message body, which make it more source way to transferring data for client.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Anyone else want to add in this one? Okay, Praveen. Anyone else?
Ma'am, both these methods are used to transfer data from client to server. There is a difference between these two. First, in get carries request parameter in URL string, while post carries request parameter in message body.
Yes. Yes, it's correct. Anyone else?
Yes, ma'am. Get request basically is comparatively better than post, and get in get method we cannot send a large amount of data, but in post method we can send large amount of data.
The first statement is not always correct, that the get is better than the post. We cannot say this thing always. Okay, okay then. Let's see what is get and post method. A very simple, think about a very simple analogy. You want to send someone a letter, okay? For that purpose, you are using some traditional method of communication and you are sending it through a postcard, okay? You are sending your message through a postcard. And you are sending the same information by writing it on a paper and putting it inside the envelope. What will be the difference between these two methods? If you consider the first one, in which we are sending the letter through a postcard. So everyone must have seen the postcard. If you have a postcard, the content of the postcard is visible, isn't it? The address will be there, and whatever you are writing on the postcard, it will be visible. But if you are writing anything on the letter which is placed inside the envelope, okay, in that case nobody can see the content, nobody can read the letter unless and until that person opens the envelope. So this is what exactly the get and post is. Okay, if you think about this analogy of letter and the postcard, enveloped letter and the postcard, the same thing happens with the get and post. Yes.
Ma'am, please one more time this thing with the same example.
Suppose you are sending somebody some information, some letter on the postcard. Okay. So if you are writing a postcard, whatever you are writing it down, okay, the postcard content is visible to all the people. Whoever is having that postcard will read the information or could read the information. It is not hidden, it is not confidential. But when you send the same thing on the letter which is placed inside the envelope, no one can see the letter, no one can read the information which is present on the letter unless and until that person opens up the envelope. So make a think that the content which is sent through envelope is hidden. Okay, it is not open to everyone. But if you send anything on the postcard, it is visible to everyone. You do not know who has read it or not, but it is assumed that it is read by all. It is available to everyone. It is visible to everyone. But if any information which is placed inside the envelope, it will not be visible to everyone. The postcard is the get method. The enveloped letter is the post method. When we send anything on the get, whatever parameters we are passing, it will be visible on the URL. For example, if you read this thing, I have searched mime on the Google, and you can see Q equal to MIME. Rest of the content is there, it's okay. But Q equal to MIME. Okay. I have searched mime attachment, see the query. Q equal to mime plus attachment. Whatever query I am making it right now, everything is visible on my URL. If I open my history, okay, it is also available in my history. Whatever I am searching, everything will be a I'm searching something on the Amazon C. K equal to WebGIS. Keyword is web and GIS. Okay, whatever I am making a search over here, everything is available over here and it will get reflected on my history. So the first thing which is means that whenever you make a get type of request, whatever parameters you are passing over there, like and the mime format, WebGIS, these all are the keywords that I have searched on different websites. The things were visible over there in the URL. So that's why it is said that whenever we are making a request through a get methods, the things are visible on the URL. But if I make some request, like suppose I'm logging in one of my account over here. I have entered my credentials, my username and password. See the URL over here. Nothing is visible on the URL. Whatever I am writing it down, whatever is my credential, nothing is visible on the in the URL. So this is what? This is a post method. Okay. So in get method, the URL, the address bar will reflect the parameters, the content which is sent by the user. In case of the post method, whatever is entered, whatever credential or any other information which is entered by the client will not be visible on the URL. If you go to the history, okay, if you search through the history, you can open your own browser and you can search about it. In the history, whatever searching I have done by using the get method, it will be there. It will be whatever Google search you have done, it will be visible. That's why it is many times suggested that if you are using any public computer, clear the history when you leave that system. Okay? If you do not want to show other people, or if you do not want that the other people can see what you have searched, it is better to clear the history, clear the browsing history of the web browser. Why? Because when you are making any request through GET, the information of the parameters gets saved inside the history and it will be visible to anyone. In case of POST, it is not visible. Okay. Then if you press the back button, if you press the refresh button, in case of GET, there is no problem. If you press the back button, you can move to the previous page. In POST method, okay, in POST method, whenever you do the refresh, whenever you do the reload or anything like that, the data will be submitted again. You might have been seen like during login or during making any type of online transaction, the credential will be sent again, the information will be sent. Like many times while doing the online payment, when things get stuck up, they usually suggest do not press the refresh button. And if you press the refresh button, they will ask the same information will be sent again. So you have to say yes or no over there. In case of GET, there is no problem if you pressing a back button or a refresh button, but in case of POST, it means you are resubmitting the information. Then, in case of GET, the length of data is limited because it will get appended on the URL in the URL, and the size of the URL is fixed. Okay, there is a limited URL size, so you cannot increase the URL size more than 2048 characters. So the size, the length of the content is limited in the GET method of request, while in POST it is not limited. There is no restriction on the length. Okay. Security is obvious. Whenever we need to send some sensitive information, the POST method is used. When the information is not sensitive, like Google search is not a sensitive information, okay? In that case, we go for the GET method. GET method is comparatively less complicated. It is easier to make a GET method as compared to the POST method. But POST is considered to be safer because nobody can find what you are searching, what you are sending by just merely watching your URL. So this is what the difference between the GET and POST method. We will learn in a very detailed manner about the GET request, because when we will go to the OGC, which will come later on after 14-15 lectures, it will come. When we learn about the OGC services, we basically need to learn how to make a GET request over there. So we will learn about the parameters and its value over there. So right now, this is what the difference between the GET method of request and the POST method of request. Both methods are used, but yes, depending upon the application, depending upon the security requirement, there will be a selection among the GET and the POST method of request. Okay. So this is all about the HTTP request and HTTP response. There is one more HTTP, which is HTTPS, which means Secure Hypertext Transfer Protocol. This secure HTTP or HTTPS means you might have seen this HTTPS whenever you make any. Okay. Like when you open yes, like I have opened the BSNL website, okay. You can see over here, this one is HTTPS, means it is HTTP secure. Why it is secure? Because it runs over the secure socket layer. That's why it is secure. HTTPS is used. Usually it is suggested when you are using any of the website to transfer any sensitive information, always use HTTPS. Like in all the banking awareness messages, they say that make sure the URL has HTTPS. Why? Because it is more secure. Get it? So this is what HTTP, HTTPS. So HTTPS refers to the use of ordinary HTTP over the secure socket layer connection. Data transferred between the client and the server can be intercepted in plain HTTP connection. HTTPS avoids eavesdropping by encrypting the data. There is a term eavesdropping. What is the meaning of this one? Yes, what is the meaning of this term eavesdropping? We used to see this eavesdropping a lot in our serials.
Someone listening to our conversation.
Yes. Somebody listening the communication and the people who are communicating doesn't know. Like somebody is standing outside your door, silently listening whatever you are talking, whatever you are communicating with another person. Isn't it? So this happens all time in the serials. This is what? This is eavesdropping. This one is a physical eavesdropping that is done by that person. So that person is not means creating any problem in the communication, but he is getting the information. Here also this thing happens. When a communication is made between the clients and server, it could get listened by the third party. So this is called the eavesdropping. By using the HTTPS, this can be avoided. So HTTPS often used to transfer sensitive data such as personal user profiles, login password, credit card information, and others. The next topic is URL, which is Uniform Resource Locator. Now I will cover this topic. First I am giving you 10 minutes break, and thereafter we will learn about the URL and rest of the topics. So 10 minutes break. Okay, so let's start the class again. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay then. So next thing is you need to search about the URL syntax. Okay, so quickly go to the internet, take some time and search what is URL and what is the syntax of URL. Means daily we used to write the URL in our web browser. So whenever we are writing the URL over the web browser, it is simple like gmail.com, facebook.com or whatever you are using. But there is a very well-defined URL syntax over there. Go to the internet and search about the syntax of URL. Okay, so what is the syntax, URL syntax? Anyone?
Ma'am, linear
Ma'am, it is
structure of
basically
URL.
It includes 3 characters, a colon, and 2 slashes.
Ma'am, it is basically the structure of the URL in which we have the different kinds of information in the fragmented part. Like suppose if we take any of the website, that will be contained with the first scheme name, then comes host name, then port number, then path, then query strings, and last one is fragment identifier.
Okay. Yes, Shivam. Yes, Shivam, do you want to add anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So yes, this is what the URL is. Whenever you open any of the content, like you opened the Google News. So on the top of the address, in the address bar, we type URL. Okay. So URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. URL is basically a subset of URI. Okay. URI stands for Uniform Resource Identifier. This URI consists of two parts, URN, Uniform Resource Name, and URL, Uniform Resource Locator. So these are the two parts, URI equal to URN plus URL. Since URN doesn't have much meaning, like if you write down anyone's address, first of all, you write the name of that person and thereafter you write the address. So even if you write the name of a person, it doesn't mean much. But if you write the address, only then that letter can reach. Similarly, on the internet also, the location of any of the content is placed. The content is placed. I was saying. Yes. So the URI consists of Uniform Resource Identifier. Along it consists of two parts, name and the locator address. So URN is not much used, but URL is required in order to locate any of the web page. So that's why it is often called as the web address. Just like a common postal address, there is a web address for every web page. And without a URL, web client would not be able to reach a web server or the desired resources on it. Also, the web resources could not be linked to the web. This one is the basic syntax of the URL. Everyone write it down in your copy. This syntax, write it down in your copy. Protocol : hostname : port / file path name ? Query string hash.
Ma'am, can you please little bit zoom it? Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, scheme and protocol both are same.
Repeat it again. Protocol, and what is the another thing?
Schemes.
Can you spell it out?
Ma'am, scheme.
Scheme. Okay, no. Scheme, schema, these all are the different things. Okay, so coming to this protocol, the basic syntax starts with the protocol. Most of the time it is either HTTP or HTTPS. Among these two, HTTP and HTTPS, one will be the protocol. There can be other protocols also like FTP. Okay, so first it will start with the protocol, then there will be : it will be followed by the host name. Okay, host name or the IP address could be written. Okay, like in this particular example, the news https : news.google.com. This one is the host name. If I open this website, this one is our grade entry website. In this one, you can see instead of writing the domain name over here, I am writing some numbers over here. So this is what? This is the IP address for this website. So the host name could be written in any one of the way. We can use the host name like news.google.com, or we can use the IP address like 172.31.9.12, like this way. So these are the two options. Even when the host name is given, it will get converted into the IP address. Okay, there are DNS servers, domain name servers, that convert this domain name into the IP address. For the simplicity, for the ease of use, instead of using IP address, because it will be difficult to remember the IP address, host names are used. Okay, so they are much more simpler and easier to remember. That's why host names are used. Later on, by using the DNS server, they get converted into the IP address. So protocol, then host name. Whenever anything is written inside the square bracket in computers, it means that thing is optional. So port number is optional by default. The port number of HTTP is 80. HTTPS, it is 443. Okay. So there are some default ports where they were. That's why we generally do not give the port number. But if required, like if you run the Apache web server on a system, you will give localhost :8080. So in that case, the port number is used. But in general, we doesn't use the port number. It is optional. It means the port on which that particular machine or that particular protocol is working. Then / file path name. It is simple. Whatever is the path inside the server, whatever is the file path, it is mentioned over there. If there is a need to make any sort of query, in that case, this question mark is used. So this part is again optional part. It is not necessary that it is always followed by a query string. So if there is a need to make any query, then there will be a question mark followed by a query string. How to make a query string, we will learn later on. Then hash anchor. Hash anchor means, we'll show you anchor. Suppose so I have opened the GIS, Geographic Information System page on Wikipedia. Okay, see this URL right now. Okay, now what I will do, I will click on the terrain analysis, and when I will click on the terrain analysis, it will remain on the same page but jump to a different section. Now check the URL over here. Check this URL. The URL get appended by hash terrain _ analysis. This hash is used, okay, this hash symbol is used when there is a need to jump to a different section of the same page. In the upcoming Geo-Informatics Lab 2 session, okay. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So have you listened everything that I have told you regarding the hash, about the linking within the same page?
Yes, ma'am.
Because there was a little bit network break.
Yes, ma'am. There was a lag between the video and audio, but we understood it.
Right now the audio and video is okay.
Ma'am, please do something on video then. Yeah, ma'am, it is okay, I think.
Okay, I am scrolling it. Okay, now I have opened a figure on the screen.
No, ma'am, it is lagging. 3-4 second lag.
Okay, so if it will create any problem, please inform. Then I will unshare the screen again. I think so. It is not a problem right now if it is a just 2-3 second lag. So this is all about the URL. Okay. So another example is given over here. Like whenever there is a request that is made between the client and server, so there is this type of URL will be written. And you can see it over here that first there is a protocol, then there is a host name, then there is a file path, then the whatever we are requesting, like in this one, a particular image is requested from the server. So this is about the URL. How to write a URL. This one is the basic syntax of the URL. Later on, when we learn about the OGC servers, in that case, we will learn how to make the requests over there. In that one, we need to make different types of URLs. So this, whatever we are learning right now, it will be useful later on. The next thing is about the HTML. Okay, so HTML is already will be covered in the laboratory session. Therefore, I am not going into this one. But yes, when we talk about the HTML, HTML means hypertext markup language. Most of the web pages are coded by using the HTML. Nowadays, there are some other supporting languages with that one, like cascading style sheet for the styling purpose, CSS. There is, to make the web page more interactive, we have languages like JavaScript. So by using JavaScript, CSS, HTML, the whole of the web page is created. So there is one more term, DHTML, dynamic HTML. So when the HTML is combined with the JavaScript, then it is known as the DHTML. In our laboratory session, right now we are learning about the HTML, and once the HTML will get completed, we will learn about the JavaScript also. Okay. Now, we are going to learn about the web application development. Before going into this one, first of all, draw this diagram. Draw this diagram.
मैम
Yes.
CSS भी पढ़ेंगे मैम?
CSS बिल्कुल इंट्रोडक्टरी पढ़ाएंगे, क्योंकि CSS में ऐसे बहुत ज्यादा नहीं रहेगा। हाँ, लेकिन एक लैब हम CSS का भी लेंगे।
तो मैम जो HTML है और XML है मैम, दोनों इंटरग्रेट है CSS से, समथिंग ऐसा कुछ?
XML अलग है, बिल्कुल अलग है। XML एक्सटेंसिबल मार्कअप लैंग्वेज है। जब आपको डेटा को ट्रांसपोर्ट करना पड़ता है, और क्योंकि GIS में हमारे पास GML होता है, उसमें जैसे अगेन आगे आप लोग सीखेंगे कि जैसे आपने पॉइंट लाइन पॉलीगन जैसे क्रिएट किए हैं, है ना, तो वो तो अभी आपने शेप फाइल में देखा है। लेकिन जब आप उसको ट्रांसफर कराते हैं, तो वेब पर जब वो ट्रांसफर होता है, तो इस तरीके से शेप फाइल पर नहीं होता। कई बार हम रॉ डेटा एक्सचेंज करते हैं, तो उस केस में जो कोऑर्डिनेट्स होते हैं, जैसे आपने किसी पॉलीगन को सपोज 100 कोऑर्डिनेट से लेकर के डिजिटाइज किया हुआ है, तो वो पूरे 100 कोऑर्डिनेट आगे पास ऑन होते हैं। ठीक है, तो इस तरीके का जब डेटा ट्रांसफर, रॉ डेटा ट्रांसफर जो यूज होता है, अगेन आगे जब OGC सर्विसेज पढ़ेंगे, वहां पर वेब फीचर सर्विसेज पढ़ेंगे, वहां वेक्टर डेटा ट्रांसफर होता है। सो वेक्टर डेटा अगेन जब ट्रांसफर होगा, तो फाइल फॉर्मेट क्या होगा, वो GML बेस्ड होगा। HTML तो बहुत ईजी है। XML एक तरीके से एक स्कीमा देता है, एक टेम्पलेट आपको देता है, जिसके अकॉर्डिंग आप अपने डेटा को बनाते हैं। ठीक है, XML का थ्योरेटिकल इंट्रोडक्शन काफी बाद में आएगा, टुवर्ड्स, मतलब जब हम लोग OGC ऑलमोस्ट कंप्लीट कर लेंगे, उसके बाद XML का एक इंट्रोडक्शन रहेगा, बट थ्योरेटिकल रहेगा, उसको हमें प्रैक्टिकली नहीं करना है। बाकी जहां तक बात रही HTML और XML की, दोनों बिल्कुल अलग हैं। ठीक है, सब टैग्ड बेस्ड लैंग्वेज है, तो ML सब में मार्कअप लैंग्वेज सब है, लेकिन मार्कअप लैंग्वेज में ऐसा नहीं होगा कि जैसे HTML है वो बिल्कुल XML आपको वैसा दिखे, या पर्पस भी दोनों का सेम नहीं है। HTML का पर्पस क्या होता है, कंटेंट, वेब पेज बनाना, वेब पेज जिनको कि स्क्रीन पर डिस्प्ले कराया जा रहा है, उनको बनाने के लिए HTML का यूज होता है। XML का पर्पस कुछ भी डिस्प्ले कराने का नहीं होता, बल्कि जब डेटा को आप, यहाँ पे भी आप इस डायग्राम में भी आप देख सकते हैं, XML डेटा एक्सचेंज फॉर्मेट की तरह यहाँ पर दिखाया गया है। तो जब डेटा को हमें एक्सचेंज करना होता है, तो उसमें एक तरीका होता है कि उसका पूरा एक टेक्स्ट फाइल बनता है। ठीक है, वहां पर XML यूज होता है कि वहां पर एक नोटपैड में पूरी एक फाइल बनती है, और उसके थ्रू डेटा एक्सचेंज किया जाता है। तो XML एक बहुत अच्छा माना जाता है। क्यों? क्योंकि ये प्लेटफॉर्म इंडिपेंडेंट होता है। प्लेटफॉर्म इंडिपेंडेंट मीन्स आप किसी भी प्लेटफॉर्म पे, चाहे आप विंडोज यूज कर रहे हो, लिनक्स यूज कर रहे हो, मैकिंटॉश यूज कर रहे हो, कोई भी प्लेटफॉर्म आप यूज कर रहे हैं, उसमें डेटा आपका चल जाता है, क्योंकि एक सिंपल ASCII टेक्स्ट फाइल फॉर्मेट में डेटा होता है। इस कारण से XML एक बल्कि साइज बहुत ज्यादा बड़ा होता है, आप जब इसकी साइज देखेंगे तो उसकी साइज बहुत बड़ी दिखेगी, लेकिन जो कंटेंट होता है वो बहुत इजी टू रीड होता है, बहुत प्लेटफॉर्म इंडिपेंडेंट होता है, इस कारण से XML बहुत यूज होता है। सो अभी के लिए आप लोग सबसे पहले ये डायग्राम बनाइए और फिर इसके कंटेंट को हम लोग देखते हैं। Yes. Okay then. So this particular diagram is giving a detail about the development of any web application. So as we have learned earlier that there will be a web server, there will be a web client, and the communication will be made between them. This diagram is showing about the different technologies that could be used over here. As you can see over here, at the server end, there will be two parts. Web application servers, okay. For the web application servers, we have Apache Tomcat, Internet Information Services, and others. Similarly, there is a server-side programming languages. For the client end, there will be a client web browser. Then there will be browser-based languages. Then if we are using other than web browser like desktop or mobile, something like that, so there will be desktop or mobile languages over there. Between these two, there will be exchange of data. So there will be data exchange formats like XML, JSON, AMF, and others. Okay. So this is how the communication is carried out over here. Coming to the first part, which is the web server. Okay. On the web server, there is web application server. Okay. So what is the web application server? It is the place where the websites are hosted. Okay. The web server will serve the data to other web application to use. So they receives the HTTP request from the client and serves the client with the HTTP response. Then Web applications, web application servers or web servers also have to run some of these scripts. Scripts means small code. So that can come in the JSP, Java server pages. There can be Java servlets. There can be ASP.NET, something like that, which can be run, which would run inside the web server. So request can be made of two things. Either it can be a simple web page. That web page will be fetched and returned to the client. Another part is they suppose suppose I want to calculate someone's age. Okay, like when I am opening a Wikipedia page, it is simply a web page that I am opening. Now suppose I am searching about the I'm using one application. Okay, I want to compute someone's age, like October 11, 2021. What will be the age of this person? So when I will calculate, I'm getting that this child is 3 months old. Okay, so this is what happening. I am not requesting any web page. I am giving some parameters. I am sending some values, and based upon that one, that based upon the date of birth, the age will get calculated. So in this one, what is happening? Certain script will get executed at the server ends. When I have opened this Wikipedia page, okay, when I have searched about the GIS, this Wikipedia page will get opened. In this case, simply a web page will get searched and sent by the server. In the second case, in the age calculation case, some parameters are passed from the client to the server, and based upon those parameters, some script will get executed and its results are sent back to the client. Got it? So these are the two part. One part, एक में आप वेब पेज लेते हैं और वेब पेज को डिस्प्ले कराते हैं. एक दूसरा काम भी क्या सर्वर पर होता है कि सर्वर कुछ पैरामीटर्स को लेकर के कुछ एक्सरसाइज, कुछ एग्जीक्यूशन करेगा, जिसको बोलते हैं कि स्क्रिप्ट रन होगी सर्वर के एंड पर. दोनों के एग्जाम्पल आपने देख लिए. यहाँ पर एक सिंपल GIS का वेब पेज हमने खोला. दूसरे एग्जाम्पल में हमने कैलकुलेटर खोला, एज कैलकुलेटर खोला, और उस एज कैलकुलेटर की हेल्प से हमने एक एज को कैलकुलेट किया. हमने इनपुट में दिया, आज की डेट दी और डेट ऑफ बर्थ दी, और उसके बेसिस पर एज कैलकुलेट होकर आ गई. सो ये दो तरीके के काम सर्वर एंड पर होते हैं. इट कैन आइदर send the web page or it can execute some script or sends the result. Okay, there are the different types of web server. First one is Apache Tomcat. Okay, Apache Tomcat is very popular. Why? Because it is an open source web server. It is freely available. I will show you. When you search about the Apache Tomcat on the Google, you will get this link. Okay, from this link, you can download whatever version you want. You can download the appropriate version from the Apache Software Foundation website. This is how you will get the Apache Tomcat software. This one is a Java-based software. So if you are making any of the JSP files, servlets, which all are related to the Java, in that case, we will go for the Apache Tomcat or Apache web server. It is one of the most popular web server. Okay. Second option is IIS, Internet Information Services. Initially, it was known as the Internet Information Server. So this IIS, Internet Information Services, this one is the Microsoft product. So if it is a Microsoft product, then what it will run? It will run .NET suite of programming languages. Okay, .NET suite of programming languages is run inside the IIS. Could you name some other web application servers? Apart from Apache Tomcat and IIS, give me at least two more names of web servers. Quickly search and give me the name of any two web servers other than Apache Tomcat and IIS. Apache Tomcat.
Ma'am, CADD Light Speed Web Server.
Can you spell it?
Ma'am, CADD and Light Speed Web Server. CADDY and LITE.
CADD.
Y. And ma'am, second one is Light Speed Web Server.
Ma'am, Node.js and XAMPP.
Ma'am, Light is LITE, ma'am.
Okay. Somebody, yes. Anyone else was also saying?
Ma'am, Node.js and XAMPP.
Give me the spelling.
Node.js.
This one is the server.
That's showing on internet.
Check it again.
Ma'am,
Check it
spelling
again.
is light ED without any space.
Spell
Ma'am,
it.
IIS.
Light HTTPD without any space. LIGHT HTTPD.
Okay, any other web server?
Ma'am, capital N, small GINX server. Capital N, small GINX web server.
Yes, okay.
Next, ABYSS. Capital A.
Okay, anything else?
Ma'am,
Next
Jigsaw
semester.
server.
Wait a minute. Jigsaw.
Yes, ma'am. JIGSAW.
Okay. Anything else?
Clone, ma'am. KLONE.
Ma'am, Oracle.
Clone.
Okay. So there are so many. Somebody is eating something like chocolate or toffee, and we are listening the rappers audio. Please mute yourself. And okay, coming to this part, web server. So every time whenever we search about the web server, a lot of new servers will appear. Like I also got to know some very new type of web servers over here. I was not aware about this caddy web server, this light speed. Yes, Jinx is very means it's quite an old web server. Then again, this one is something new, Abyss web server, Jigsaw, and I do not know about this clone because it is not showing correctly over here. Yeah, it is showing clone, KLONE.
Use.
Okay, so these are the different web servers that are available over here. There is some more popular, like there is IBM WebSphere also. Search about it. IBM WebSphere. This one is also a very popular web server, IBM WebSphere. Then there is another of Oracle. Okay, this one is Oracle HTTP server. Okay, so these are few of the very popular web servers. Among them, Apache Tomcat and IIS are the most popular one. But other than that, you can use Jinx. Then there is means they after 1 year or two, some new web server will come. So these are the different web servers that are available on which we can host our application. Okay, whenever you develop as a developer, I'm not talking as a client, as a developer, whenever you develop any of the application, you need to host that application somewhere. So for that purpose, you need a web server. You have searched about the different web servers, you can use among them. But what we need to check it is based upon which, like Apache is based on Java. Okay, this IIS is based upon .NET. Oracle Web Server, most probably it is based on Java. So we have to check, okay, we have to check on which programming language that server supports. And based upon that one, it is not just about the server, you also have to check other things over there. Based upon that one, we select the web server. Then coming to the next part, there are the programming languages on which we have to do the coding. So for this one, there is Java suite of programming languages. Java suite means Java EE Enterprise Edition, then Servlet, then Java Server Pages, then Java Server Faces. These are the different types of programming languages. Okay. So once we have done with the server, on the server you need to place your content. Okay, are you getting this thing? आप सबसे पहले सर्वर पर अपना कंटेंट डालते हो. जैसे एक एग्जांपल के थ्रू आपको हम दिखाते हैं. जैसे इस एग्जांपल में देखिए, इसमें मेरा जैसे मेरे अपने सिस्टम पे हमने अपाचे टॉमकैट इंस्टॉल किया हुआ है. ओके, इसमें हमने अपने खुद की एप्लीकेशन बना करके ये मेरे खुद की एप्लीकेशन यहाँ पर डेवलप करके हमने यहाँ पर डाली है. यहाँ पर आप किसी भी एप्लीकेशन को देखेंगे, इसका एक्सटेंशन देखिए क्या है, .jsp. देख रहे हो? तो यहाँ पर जितनी भी कोडिंग यहाँ पर पूरी करी गई है वो JSP या जहां जरूरत पड़ी वहां पर जावा की यहाँ पर कोडिंग यहाँ पर करी गई है. इस तरीके से हम अपने डेवलप्ड एप्लीकेशन को सबसे पहले सर्वर पे रख Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So यहाँ पर आपको एग्जाम्पल में दिखा रहे हैं कि यहाँ पर अपाचे टॉमकैट है और यहाँ पर अपाचे टॉमकैट में हमने अपनी एप्लीकेशन डाली हुई है और ये .jsp या .java एक्सटेंशंस की यहाँ पर फाइल आपको दिख रही होंगी. तो यहाँ पर क्योंकि अपाचे टॉमकैट जावा स्यूट ऑफ प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेजेस को सपोर्ट करता है, दैट्स व्हाई जो भी है JSP जावा सर्वर पेजेस पे, जावा EE हुआ, जावा सर्वलेट्स पे, उनको यहाँ पर रखा जा सकता है. दूसरा है ASP.NET फ्रेमवर्क. शायद आप लोगों ने सुना होगा .NET फ्रेमवर्क. यहाँ पर दूसरा हमारे पास में ऑप्शन आता है .NET फ्रेम ऑफ प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेजेस. सो अगर आपका जो डेवलपमेंट है माइक्रोसॉफ्ट .NET फ्रेमवर्क पर हो रहा है, ASP.NET क्या है, ये माइक्रोसॉफ्ट .NET फ्रेमवर्क बेस्ड है. ASP मींस एक्टिव सर्वर पेजेस. ओके, एक्टिव सर्वर पेजेस. सो यहाँ पर .NET माइक्रोसॉफ्ट .NET फ्रेमवर्क यूज किया जाता है. इसमें जितनी भी सर्विसेज होती हैं वो या तो VB.NET को, विजुअल बेसिक .NET, C#, इस तरीके की लैंग्वेजेस को यूज करते हुए इसका डेवलपमेंट होता है. तो जो .NEट फ्रेम को सपोर्ट करेगा, जैसे IIS जो है इंटरनेट इंफॉर्मेशन सर्विसेज, इट इज अ माइक्रोसॉफ्ट प्रोडक्ट, सो इट विल सपोर्ट ASP.NET फ्रेमवर्क. सो It depends upon which programming language that you are going to use. Based upon that programming language, you will select the web application support. Suppose you are using ASP.NET. In that case, you cannot use Apache Tomcat because it will not support the .NET framework. Okay. Apart from that, there is PHP. What is the full form of PHP? What is the full form of PHP?
Ma'am, personal home page.
Anyone else? Is it personal home page?
Hypertext
Hypertext
preprocessor.
processor.
Yes. Hypertext preprocessor. Okay. Another option is Python. Python is very popular. In today's time, Python is very popular, and if any one of you have time, because Python course is available on W3 schools also. So if you are interested in learning any of the coding language, go for the Python. Nowadays, everybody is working on Python. So Python is both server side as well as client side programming language. Okay. So these are the different things, different technologies on which the server side things can work. Coming to the other part, okay, I will not take this complete part, but yes, for the client part, first thing is about the browsers. Okay. The client can be a web browser. Again, everybody knows about these things: Internet Explorer, Firefox, Apple Safari, Google Chrome. These are the different web browser. If you use a web browser, the web browser knows how to make a request and how to display, how to render the HTTP response. Okay. This is how you will make this whole content, this whole request over here. Okay. Then coming to the programming part. Okay. If you use a web browser, in that case, what can be the possible language for the coding? First one is HTML or CSS. Okay. Yes. HTML is very old language if you consider the web browser. So when the web browser has been started, from that time HTML has been started. Over the time, CSS and JavaScript got added with that one. But yes, the very first language on the browser side programming language is HTML. Nowadays what happens that there is a separation between the content and formatting. है ना? आप कंटेंट एक जगह रखते हो, उसका फॉर्मेटिंग मीन्स उसको डिस्प्ले कैसे करना है, उसको लाल हरे नीले पीले किस कलर से दिखाना है, उसका फॉन्ट साइज क्या रहेगा, उसकी विड्थ क्या रहेगी, उसका बॉर्डर कितना रहेगा, ये सब डिजाइन के कंपोनेंट है, उसके फॉर्मेटिंग के कंपोनेंट है. कंटेंट पार्ट HTML से आज के टाइम में डील होता है और फॉर्मेटिंग पार्ट CSS से डील होता है. अभी आप लोग जो HTML सीख रहे हो, जैसे प्रीवियस टर्म पे जो आपने काम किया, उसमें क्या हुआ कि आपने जो भी फॉर्मेटिंग थी वो HTML के साथ ही करी. आज के टाइम में इस तरीके से नहीं होता कि आप स्टाइलिंग को अलग लेकर के जाते हैं. ठीक है. उसके लिए अलग से स्टाइल शीट बनती है और वहां पर पूरी स्टाइलिंग को रखा जाता है. HTML में सिर्फ और सिर्फ कंटेंट रखा जाता है. नेक्स्ट पार्ट जावास्क्रिप्ट. जावास्क्रिप्ट क्या है? एट प्रेजेंट अगर आप देखें HTML इटसेल्फ एक नॉन इंटरेक्टिव लैंग्वेज है. मतलब आपने उसमें कुछ इनपुट दे दें और उसके अकॉर्डिंग कुछ चीजें डिस्प्ले हो जाए, वो नहीं हो सकता. HTML फॉर्म्स के थ्रू, फॉर्म्स भी हम लोग आगे चल करके बनाना सीखेंगे, फॉर्म्स के थ्रू डेटा इनपुट ले सकता है, लेकिन इनपुट डेटा को प्रोसेस नहीं कर सकता. लाइक सपोज आपने 2 नंबर डलवाए और उसको ऐड कराना है. ठीक है. नंबर 1 is 3, नंबर 2 is 7. ठीक है. Then you want to execute addition operation, subtraction operation. डेटा इनपुट हो जाएगा HTML से, बट किसी भी तरीके का एग्जीक्यूशन, उसका रिजल्ट डिस्प्ले नहीं हो सकता. उसके लिए हमें क्या चाहिए होगा? हमें जावास्क्रिप्ट की जरूरत पड़ती है. एक चीज बहुत अच्छे से याद रखिएगा, जावा अलग होता है, जावास्क्रिप्ट अलग होता है. दोनों बिल्कुल अलग अलग लैंग्वेज होती हैं। जावा एक मच मोर डिटेल्ड लैंग्वेज है, मच स्ट्रॉन्ग स्ट्रिक्ट लैंग्वेज है। जावास्क्रिप्ट कंपैरेटिवली इजी है क्योंकि इसका सिंटैक्स जावा से बहुत मिलता जुलता बनाया गया, इस कारण से इसको जावास्क्रिप्ट बोला जाता है। बट जावा एक अलग है, वो एक कंप्लीट ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज है। जावास्क्रिप्ट एक स्क्रिप्टिंग लैंग्वेज है, ठीक है। सो जावास्क्रिप्ट एक अलग हो गया। बाकी की चीजें अजैक्स, फ्लेक्स, सिल्वरलाइट ये हम लोग नेक्स्ट टर्न पे सीखेंगे क्योंकि ये थोड़ा डिटेल्ड रहेगा। तो ये अपकमिंग टर्न पे, दैट इज ऑन थर्सडे, हम लोग ये जो बाकी का कंपोनेंट है इसके बारे में सीखेंगे कि दूसरी ब्राउजर साइड प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेजेस क्या होती हैं, डेटा एक्सचेंज के फाइल फॉर्मेट्स क्या होते हैं। इसके बाद में जो अलग अलग आर्किटेक्चरल कंपोनेंट्स है वेब के, जैसे प्रॉक्सीज क्या होती हैं, कैश क्या होते हैं, गेटवे क्या होते हैं, कुकीज क्या होती हैं, इन सब के बारे में एक इंट्रोडक्टरी सेशन रहेगा। एंड देयर आफ्टर हम लोग जो क्लाइंट्स, जो टिपिकल 3 tier आर्किटेक्चर है वेब जीआईएस का, उसके बारे में हम लोग आगे चल करके सीखेंगे, ठीक है। सो आज के लिए इतना ही। आपके एंड से अगर कोई कंफ्यूजन है, कोई डाउट है तो आप लोग पूछ सकते हैं।
मैम
यस
मैम, वेब सर्वर और वेब होस्टिंग मैम अलग अलग है?
हाँ, वेब होस्टिंग अगले टर्न पर कवर करेंगे हम, लेकिन वेब सर्वर इट्स लाइक एक सॉफ्टवेयर आप समझ लीजिए, वेब होस्टिंग एक प्रोसेस समझ लीजिए। तो दोनों अलग चीजें हैं। वेब सर्वर अलग है, वेब होस्टिंग अलग है। वेब होस्टिंग का डिटेल डिस्कशन अगले टर्न पर रहेगा। Yes, any other question? ओके देन, इससे रिलेटेड जो फाइल है अपलोड कर दी गई है, वेब GIS 3 बेसिक्स ऑफ वेब। आप सभी लोगों को इस फाइल को पढ़ने की जरूरत है। आप लोग को जैसे पहले भी बताया गया कि वेब GIS को पैरेलली रीडिंग करिएगा। पूरी कोशिश हमारी रहेगी कि इसको जैसे जितना आपको इन्वॉल्व करा करके इसको हम इस कोर्स को कवर करा सकें वो कराएंगे। बट यस, आप लोग की ओर से भी एफर्ट का रिक्वायरमेंट है कि जितना भी चीजें आज पढ़ाई गई हैं शायद सभी को समझ में भी आनी चाहिए। बहुत ही सिंपल था किस तरीके से वेब वर्क करता है और दूसरी चीजें। बट यस, रीडिंग इज नेसेसरी। जब तक पढ़ेंगे नहीं तब तक चीजें याद नहीं होंगी, उसकी टर्मिनोलॉजी नहीं याद होगी। तो जो ये PDF वेब GIS 3 यहाँ पर अपलोड किया गया है, इसके पेज नंबर 7 तक यहाँ कंप्लीट किया जा चुका है। तो 1 to 7 पेज तक इसको एक बार अपने एंड से रीड कर लीजिएगा और इसको आगे हम लोग नेक्स्ट थर्सडे, कमिंग थर्सडे पर इसको कंटिन्यू करेंगे। ओके, थैंक यू ऑल ऑफ यू। द क्लास इज ओवर फॉर नाउ।
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
थैंक यू मैम।
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, welcome to all.